In the previous video, we registered a key item in a database, and we drag and drop it into our scene, and then when we collected it, we saw that it gets stored in our inventory panel. In this video, we're going to register a couple of more items, because I forgot to do that in the previous video. Just so you can see all the possibilities that this framework provides regarding all the items of different types. So for example, we can register stackable items, and then if you want to set minimum and maximum stack amount, you go to front-end panel manager under general settings and just set those two values. Also, you can decide whether or not stack value is going to be randomly generated. For example, if you check add random stack amount, then whenever you pick up a stackable item, it will stack value will be some random number between minimum and maximum value that you set on front-end panel manager. Of course, if you uncheck that, then it will only be incremented by 1 every time. So after we register a couple of more items in our database, I'm going to show you how to implement equipment and character stats. Okay, so back to our item registration. So, for example, this X that I'm currently registering, we want it to be equipable. I set it for hand body part, and that it affects strength by 7, which means strength attribute for character will get increased by 7 when you equip this X. And as we can see in our database, it was registered successfully. And then I'm going to register some sword called regular sword 1. Names don't really matter in this case. This is just for educational purposes. You can call it whatever you want. And I have regular sword image located in my resource folder. Oh yeah, and I forgot to mention in the last video, path to these images that are going to be used as thumbnails are set on item manager under image path. So just write down the path if it's not in resource / items already. Okay, and for this regular sword, we wanted to affect two different attributes, dexterity and strength. Dexterity is lowered by 6 and strength is increased by 3 when you equip it. Okay, and we see that we get an error saying that we don't have item called such and such, item called X, and that's because we misspell it, and when we correct that, there goes away. So just be cautious of how you spell the crafting recipes. So you have to spell the item's title correctly, having in mind that it's case sensitive. Regarding the crafting recipes, when you check that the item is craftable, it means it will go on crafting panel, and then you can set all the needed ingredients, that is items that you have to have in order to generate or to craft that item. You'll see later videos when you get to crafting how it's done. And if is discard property set to true, then it will be visible on crafting panel, and if it's set to false, then it won't be visible. That's because some games don't need to show all the craftable items from start. For example, you can discard them as you progress through your game. So that's why I implemented this property also in my framework. And as you can see, when you run the game, you can collect all these items that I drag and drop. So bone has a tag called bone, and that corresponds to an item bone in our database. Key corresponds to item with the title key, and X corresponds to an item in our database that is named X. So that's basically it, and now we're going to get our hands on implementing equipment panel with along with the character stats. Okay, so now we are going to implement our equipment and character stats panels in our game, and we'll do that by either creating a new panel and assigning a new slot holder and its slots, or just drag and dropping equipment and character stats panel from panels folder located under prefabs under universal inventory. For this tutorial, I'll just drag and drop the prefabs that I made up front for this video. Then don't forget to go to equipment and stats under frontend panel manager and just click implement character stats. Without that, our system won't know whether or not we want to implement character stats. And then just assign a slot holder of that character stats panel to the empty slotting inspector under stats panel. Slot holder is a game object that contains slots as its child elements. In this case, those are the name of the attributes. Okay, then in order to connect our equipment with Universal Inventory Systems backend, we need to assign equipment panel as a panel under inventory and crafting. To go to inventory and crafting, since equipment panel is also part of inventory system, then you can also set a storage panel to equipment. Just in case you're confused how come we can set equipment and stuff like that if the section is called inventory and crafting only. And don't forget to check only can store equipable items, because we want it to be able to store only equipable items. So equipment panel can store only equipable items. If you set accidentally, for example, store item toolbar or usable items, then if that item is not equipable, it will also get stored under that panel. You'll be able to store it, but we do not want that kind of behavior. So check only can store equipable items. You can also set, you must set character stats by going to database manager and assigning some values, default values for your character, and clicking set as default. Without that, you'll get some errors saying that you don't have this entry in your database, that you haven't set default character stats. So they must be set in order to for character stats system to work properly. Then you gotta go to your panel manager and assign equipment panel and character stats panel under panels. So just increase the size of panels array under panel manager by 2, because we want to add 2 new panels, which will then for which we'll set call keys and some hide and show animations, flying from left, or I don't know, fly away right for hiding. It doesn't really matter. And then just set some keys. For example, I'll set an E for an equipment panel, so whenever you press an E on your keyboard, it will either be get displayed or hidden. And B for character stats. So now when I run my game, when I press tab, I'll get my inventory. When I press B, I'll get my stats. When I press E, I'll see my equipment panel. So that works very well. And you can play around and equip items by either drag and dropping them to the slots, or quickly equipping them by pressing right mouse click button. You can change that. You can change quick equip button by going frontend panel manager and under general settings. You can also set keys for quickly consuming an item and quickly deleting an item and stuff like that. Also have in mind that we can drag and drop items within from one slot to another slot under equipment panel, and that's because we have drag and drop property checked on equipment panel. And for example, if we uncheck it, like I just did, and then run the game again, we won't be able to relocate items under equipment panel. That's because that property is not set to false. So this whole, as you can see, doesn't allow me. Okay, so this whole Universal Inventory System framework is modular build.